Hey everyone, it's your boy Johnny Donuts here. Before we get into this week's episode of the Coffee and Cannoli podcast, slight let you know that the show halfway through kind of went off the rails. We started talking about some of our favorite Star Wars games, and it just led into some Star Wars talk. Wonderful Star Wars talk. It's really, really good. We had a really good time recording this. We basically on Star Wars Day, we talk about our love for Star Wars. So, what more can you ask for? We defend some of the aspects that some people may not really like about Star Wars. We make suggestions on what could have been changed. We break down what we didn't like, but in a respectful way, because deep down inside, we all love Star Wars. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. As a kid, I've always loved Star Wars. It'll always be a part of me. So please watch the entire video. It's really, really good. If you love Star Wars, you will truly, truly, truly enjoy this video. So, with that out of the way, let us get into this week's episode of the Coffee and Cannoli podcast, and may the Force be with you. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Cannoli podcast. We are celebrating May the 4th. Star Wars Day for any Star Wars fans out there. As everybody knows, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Putty's a huge Star Wars fan. Campo is not.
Nope.
He take it or leave it with Campo.
This motherfucker's over here, Trekkie bitch. I'm sorry.
Live long and prosper,
Whoa,
everyone.
whoa, whoa! Let's not talk about Star Trek in in a bad way.
Hey, Star Trek is good, man. I'll take Star Trek too. Don't worry. We can do that on another day. But as of today, though, we are talking about our top 5 favorite Star Wars games slash, I'm sure it's going to be franchises, but at least with my number 5. But yeah, with me, I have Putty over here, who also has some content for May the 4th over to my right. And right below me, we have Campo of RLG Cast, who will also have some Star Wars content for May the 4th. So I will leave the link to those videos at the end of this video. And you can also watch us. You can also watch their channels as well. I'll have the links to that as well below. So without further ado, we are going to start our top 5 Star Wars games. And Campo, since you're on the bottom, I'm having you start with your number
I don't
5.
like that you made me go first, but okay.
That's why I do it.
I went very minimalist on this. I picked 5 games. I only picked games based on the amount of time I put into them and how much I really enjoyed them. And one honorable mention. So number 5 for me is Star Wars Jedi Knight 2.
Very good game. Very good game. Putty.
All right, so we know this happening. Mine is capped. Number 5 is Star Wars Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Not one, not two. I actually liked this one better, and actually liked Jedi Fallen Order. There you go.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. My number 5, we're going back all the way to the SNES actually, and it is the Super Star Wars series.
It's so funny you said that because I had it on my list and I got dropped down into honorable mentions. Man, that's hilarious.
I spent like Campo, the amount of time I spent in those games, because back then you don't have a lot of money, so you play what you had. And with me being a huge Star Wars fan, those were the 3 games I just kept going back and back and back to.
It's funny you said
that's my number 5.
It's funny you say that because I was actually talking to John, your brother, about old games I played that you would only be stuck with one game. We're talking about Contra. When I was on my Nintendo, I was stuck with Contra that I pretty much became perfect on that game where I could beat it. This is the same game. When I got my Super Nintendo and I saw this was available, I bought it. And it was, even though Mario and all that was easy, this was such a hard game, but because it was the only game I had, I had to perfect it. But only reason it didn't get on the list and was so close to it is because there's the later down the road that just so amazing. So yeah.
Campo, number 4.
My number 4 is Super Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. One of the hardest games ever made. But for some reason, I just kept playing it. I never ever stopped playing this game, whether or not I ever made it anywhere. And there's just something about it. Having the lightsaber
was so hard.
Yeah, I just I mean, a lot of people wouldn't consider this a great game, but it's just it's there's something special about it.
Yeah. And the nostalgia factor for me as well.
And you could use a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do spin things.
All right, so my number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my number 4 is Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. We all know about this game, and it is an amazing game. But if it wasn't for several other games, it would have got higher on the list because, again, at that point, that's when I feel like Star Wars games really started to shine. You know what I mean? Like, we started seeing really good Star Wars games. I mean, outside of, Super Star Wars, it was good. But, like, this is when we saw, like, stories outside of the actual movies that were awesome. So, yeah, that's why it's my number 4, Shadows of the Empire.
All right. My number 4 is, even though technically that was the series, my number 5, but number 4 is the only caps on the list, and that is Rogue Squadron, specifically Rogue Squadron 2 and Jedi Fallen Order. The reason Jedi Fallen Order has to be there is because it was the whole debacle of Battlefront 2 that was released with all the loot boxes, EA saying that single-player Star Wars games won't sell, and here's Respawn Entertainment with a single-player Star Wars game that became one of the best-selling games of the year. So
it's so amazing, and a lot of people don't give it as love it deserves, I feel like, because of that whole EA stigmata, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I have one key issue with that game, and it's that it has no hub world or place where you're like, okay, I can stop now. And it never tells you like when it's saving. So there was a point one night where I was like, I went from I'm just gonna jump into some play a couple minutes to like 4 hours because I was like, how do I stop? Like, when does it stop?
You can save when you go to those meditation points. That's an auto
but
save point.
I didn't realize that because doesn't.
Well,
it plays very much.
I was very
like
drunk.
How many times people say it, and I hate saying it myself. It plays very much like the Souls type games.
Yeah.
I agree. And see, that was the thing. Like, prime examples, I remember the first time I had the whole cross where you're fighting it's that creature that's in the cave where you split off. The right was where you go to the cave and you have to go on those beams and everything. The first time I saw that, because I was trying to also make like walkthroughs. And the thing is that is a difficult boss to start off early and everything, just like thing. But
Bogdo.
Exactly. But they had that save point, and I remember that I knew about those save points of that thing, but I didn't realize how all that worked until I got to that point, because I was constantly dying, and then they would put me right back over there in the corner where you get to decide. And there for a long time, I would not, for several days, like, I'm not going to leave until I could kill that boss. And I finally did. But like, yeah, it was just, I liked that it was actually hard. It made me come back to it more.
All right. Campo.
Okay, so what am I on number 3?
Number 3.
Lego Star Wars, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all of them.
All of them. They're all good.
Oh, so is it my number 3 then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well then it's Lego Star Wars, but I put the complete saga. Here's my thing. The reason I want to say all of them. Here's the problem. I have one of my honorable mentions, and I'll just say it now. It's number 1 because I don't own it yet, and it just came out. So I can't say all of them because I haven't played the new one. I want to
it
so
is
badly.
Fantastic. I'll get that out of my way. That's my number 1 honorable mention right now.
JD, you don't understand. I'm seeing people, like, I see recommendations to play it. Do you know how much I'm crying that I haven't got to play that yet? I want to play that game so badly.
I have played it.
It's a completely new engine.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I don't really like the new like how it's like third person. But it's that aside, it's still a great game. I've barely played it, but I can already tell you it belongs in the all of them category.
Yeah. I like the fact that the story is not just like, oh, here's this section, here's this section. It plays as one cohesive story.
Yes, it's not like it's not like Lego playset, Lego playset, Lego playset. It's like a real game now.
Either way, the Lego games
it has an open world with story elements in the open world.
You'll like it. You'll really like it.
It's fantastic. I'll say that right now. That's my number 1 honorable mention, and it deserves to be there.
Well, see, I put all the Legos as my number 1 honorable mention. I've got Lego, the original trilogy, all of them, because here's the thing. I liked them all, but when the complete saga came out, it was like the holy grail. I remember when I first saw that, it was like it was one of those things when you walk in there and you're like, oh my God, this exists. So when I heard they were doing the Skywalker saga and we're going to have like all 9, I'm just so sad that I still haven't got to play it yet. But yeah, I agree. I'll put up there because I kind of had a feeling I'd love it. You know what I mean? So
okay, so I lied, and my number 3 I just realized is Caps, and it's Republic Commando and the original Battlefront 2.
Hey, Republic Commando.
That's in my honorable mentions. I did
Star
not put
Wars
them
meets Halo is what it was.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Like and Battlefront 2 always gets the love, but you know what? Battlefront 2 on the PSP. Whew. Campo, number 2.
Okay, number 2 for me is Shadow of the Empire. This is easily the game that I played the most of any Star Wars game, to the point where, like, I could probably beat it with my eyes closed. And I mean, in fairness, at that era of gaming, Nintendo 64 games were so unbelievably expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody who had an N64, unless you were like an adult male, well, you don't have to be a male, unless you were an adult working a job every day and getting paid, which I'm sure minimum wage back then was not a lot.
I was making $8 an hour.
Yeah. So
you were making more than I was. Holy crap.
Anyway. Yeah, you guys still make $8 an hour in the States in some places. But it was a special game. It was really good. And it came out very early on. Yeah, it was like one of the original game, not release game, but it was like
it wasn't a launch title, but it was in the first year. It was the next
wave. It was the next wave of games.
And it was the first Star Wars in my eyes, because I played a lot of other Star Wars games, but it felt like it was the one that actually had a story that was so far off from what I'm used to in Star Wars, and I wanted that.
And you got to be Sub-Zero.
Exactly.
Actually, you got to be Glacier from
WCW.
The whole
That's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah, he does.
Dash Rendar.
That's so hilarious.
Putty, you're number 2.
Okay, so I had to caps my number 2 because I love both of them, and I'm not counting the EA, even though we just did talk about it that the number 2, the second one EA is good, but this is the original one. Sorry, guys. Number 2 for me is Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, the original Battlefront 1 and 2. I mean, the time me and my friends spent playing against each other on that, and like being able to try to get the heroes, and just all the little things that, like, even you said it yourself, Campo, when we were making these lists, you probably the same way as I do, it's the time you spent, you know what I mean? And yeah, I spent time on Shadow of the Empire, but this was one of those games that you got your friends together, and oh my god, it was so fun. It was my first time having a really good multiplayer Star Wars game to play with your friends and really live out those characters you wanted to. So like, again, it's what Battlefront 1 should have been when it came to EA, and I'm apparently now I'm hearing it is what Battlefront 2 ended up becoming, I'm guessing. But
Battlefront 2 right now, the current EA Battlefront 2, it's actually a really fun game.
Okay, but I still wanted to put the originals. I feel like because of the love that they gave me, they should get more love outside of EA in that way, and that's the only reason why it's there. So yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 2 bleeds directly into what Campo said. Shadows of the Empire. That's my number 2. Fantastic game. The first game to expand the lore, not a game based on already existing Star Wars properties. This is actually, for a time, it was canon to the Star Wars story that told the story between the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Introduced a fantastic new character in Prince Shizor.
Shiza.
Shout out to my Austrian sister-in-law there. But like it was a Han Solo adjacent character, I guess you would call him. And it was just so different, so new. It introduced us to the Black Sun. Like it was I spent so many hours. I went out and specifically bought an N64 just for that game when it came out.
Makes sense.
Campo, you're number 1.
I guess this is a caps.
Sure.
Well, I have a feeling we're all going to say the same thing.
Okay, so let's just all say it at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. KOTOR 1 and 2.
KOTOR, yeah. KOTOR 1 and 2. Yep. Number 1. It doesn't surprise me. All picked KOTOR.
Yeah.
We did a thing.
The first time we all picked number 1. I think
all our number 1s for the first time are all identical.
It's never happened.
How are you not going to have it?
Yeah.
How are you not going to have it?
Arguably the greatest Star Wars game of all time.
Yeah. To this day, it's still the best Star Wars game ever.
It's just a good game, period.
And like here I am still salivating over the remake that's coming out, hopefully.
I just hope that, remember we talked about, I hope they don't ruin the story and do what we were talking about. Like that's the only thing. But like I said, even if they kind of did, it's still the whole excitement of being able to
change perfection.
Oh, I know.
You don't, the puzzle solving elements, the open world elements, the planetary travel.
You get to decide if you're good or bad. You get to go darker. Oh God, sorry.
It's so many elements of that game. Like, and then that twist ending. The twist ending. I don't want to spoil it because there is a new one coming out. There's a remake coming out, so let's not ruin it. But if you know.
Don't spoil the multiverse.
I'll give them one hint. Let's put it this way: one of the characters got on my list on another list. That's
oh my God, he's talking about Jar Jar.
Yeah, that's it. It's Jar Jar.
Yes, evil Sith Jar Jar Binks. He was the mastermind behind everything.
Jabba the Binks.
But that's what I'm saying. This is the reason why he made my list in the characters thing. He was so monumental in my life that I was like, how could he not at least get some love, even though he wasn't part of the main movies or TV shows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, it's such a mental when that moment when it was revealed, it was like watching the same part where Darth Vader
reveals that. Yeah.
Yes, it was the same feeling. And when I was like, oh my God, I'm like,
I literally, when I saw that, I said, holy shit.
My heart was thumping. Literally, I was like, oh my God, did I just find it felt like I found out something that wasn't supposed to feel like they broke, I broke the game, even though I knew it was part of it. It's like it was just one of those feelings you can never relive again.
And this is this is right at the early stages or right before the internet. So you couldn't go online for spoilers or anything like that. So it's like when that was revealed to you, it was fantastic.
Oh man. I'm so glad you guys said that. You guys warmed my heart. I was so scared someone was gonna have something different than that. And I kind of figured you did. I didn't even know you, Campo, would do it. Like
has to be.
Oh man.
And we made another list on a video game system that I'm pretty sure all of us had KOTOR in the top 2. So I'm pretty sure it was going to make it for Star Wars.
Yeah,
link will be up there. I'll have the little eye at the screen. It'll be that video. It was our OG Xbox video, and I'll have the link to that up there as well. But yeah, I think that was number 1 for all of us in that one too.
It was close to it if it wasn't. It was on everybody's list.
Yeah,
for sure.
High on the list too. At that. So with that, then Campo, you want to reread your list?
Yeah, no problem. So, I closed my list. Hold on, I got it. Don't worry. What the hell? Stop! He keeps closing it. Okay, number 5.
Close Pornhub.
I was trying to open. Number 5. Star Wars Jedi Knights 2, specifically 2. Number 4, Star Wars The Empire, Super Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, Lego Star Wars, all of them. Number 2, Shadow of the Empire or Shadows of the Empire. And number 1, KOTOR 1 and 2.
I guess me.
Yep.
Number 5, Cap, Star Wars The Force Unleashed and Jedi Fallen Order. Number 4, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Number 3, I had Complete Saga. We're just going to say all of it, Lego Star Wars. Number 2, both Battlefront 1 and 2, originals, not the remakes. And of course, number 1, KOTOR 1 and 2. You can't have one without the other.
Right. My number 5 was the Super Star Wars series on the SNES. Number 4 was Caps with Rogue Squadron 2 and Fallen Order. Number 3 was Republic Commando and Battlefront 2. Number 2 was Shadow of the Empire. And number 1 was KOTOR 1 and 2. If people who don't know, it's Knights of the Old Republic. We just keep calling it KOTOR.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I even corrected the names of all the ones that made mistakes on it.
We abbreviated it. It's like that's how it's known now on the internet and everywhere.
Even back then it was called KOTOR. Everyone in the Star Wars community that played that game called it KOTOR. It was just the easy way to do it. So it is odd to think, there's people out there that actually don't know what KOTOR means, and it's weird to even think about it, but it's true. You know what I mean? So.
And when we previous or a video that has not yet come out yet are games that never got a sequel. None of us mentioned we need a KOTOR 3.
Yeah, because the KOTOR we're getting is not even a KOTOR 3, it's KOTOR 1.
It's a remake
again.
He's right.
That's what it should be called, KOTOR 1 again.
Yeah, again.
Which I know we're probably going to honorable mentions, but it's so funny how my honorable mentions outside of Force Unleashed 2, everything you guys had, like I had the 2 Lego games, the new one and the original trilogy. I had Super Star Wars and Republic Commando. Those are all on your guys' list. It's like I love how even though I didn't put those on the list, my high honorable mentions were literally the things you guys put on the list. That tells you as a Star Wars fan, how many of us have actually played? And Rogue Squadron is literally right underneath, under Republic Commando. So,
like that was the first time you got to fly into the Death Star trenches, like, and it looked like almost realistic.
No, actually, no, you didn't. Remember, because they did have the old the
Atari game.
Yeah, the Atari / arcade version. That
but
yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm saying, and it looked realistic.
I get it.
Or it counted. I agree with that. If that's what you had when you were a kid, you definitely would count that.
Because I mean, that was just a cool that you get to do something like that.
Oh, definitely. I'll show off some Star Wars memorabilia here.
Nice. Is that that's the D?
Oh, here, I got one for you. Governor Worf.
Governor Worf. Nice.
All right.
I should have brought up my original from when they the 20th anniversary Obi-Wan, the 12-inch figure.
Yeah, you should have.
With the felt robe and everything.
Yeah, no, but
I didn't bring up anything Star Wars.
I'll box. There you go, a little Star Wars for you.
There you go. Freaking bone.
There was an Austin Powers card game. I just want you to know that I bought 5 boxes of it.
Campo, there's a Scooby-Doo board game.
I saw it. You showed me. I want to play.
I know. We need to play that. We should stream that one night.
Game.
I will definitely do that.
You'll come over and we'll stream it one night.
Are you guys doing some board games?
Yeah, we should do board games.
Dude, you guys can host it. You guys can move my piece around. I can still play with you guys if you want to.
He actually could.
Yeah, we actually could. Yeah, we could do it over this, and I'll move the board pieces. We'll have I have a secondary camera I could set up.
We should start. You know what? This is funny because this is the middle of another video, but we should start doing. You could play like board type games on websites. So it's like $1 and you buy it and we can all play it.
I'm down.
And anyone's computer can handle that. So
yeah. But let's throw out some honorable mentions.
Okay, so let me go first because I only have one. This is the only one I truly feel like other than these ones that I really liked, and it's Fallen Order. Like I know you guys have what's the other one? Force Unleashed. I did not like that game. I could not get into it. I was so at that point. I was still in the era of I don't care about Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is slightly post the prequels, which ruined my life, and I just didn't care anymore. And I tried playing it, and I didn't understand why everyone liked it so much. I still don't, but I mean, Fallen Order is a really good game.
There's one scene in Force Unleashed that makes you feel so powerful. It's that scene where you're bringing down the Star Destroyer, and you're
literally from far away, and you can see you're literally you're having to use your controller.
I played the game.
Or
you're telling them? Okay, well, tell them.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's literally. I'm not explaining to you. I'm explaining to the viewers. That it feels like you literally feel like you're pulling this massive thing out of the sky. And it's just like, as you're pulling it, you see it slowly approaching you until it reaches it's just like, it has its flaws. Some of the levels are way too long and way too repetitive. That Felucia level was way longer than it should have been. And I can't put Force Unleashed 2 on any honorable mention list is because it's 3 levels and you just repeat it 3 times.
Yeah, see, that's the reason I put them on because I wanted Force Unleashed on there because I feel like Jedi Fallen Order is the better version of what could have been when it came to Force Unleashed, but it has a nostalgia feels for me, so I wanted it on the list because of nostalgia. But 2, I only put on here because I put 1 on my list, so I felt like I needed to give 2 honorable mention. But I agree, JD, it was such a train wreck for the second one. Where do you go from making something I felt was so good in the first one and then making that? And I was like, and I pre-ordered.
The only thing good about the second one was when they captured Darth Vader, and we never got the resolution to it.
And still, I don't think we're ever going to either.
No, we'll never get. I want to throw one out there that nobody's mentioned, and that was Star Wars Bounty Hunter, based on
that's my
Jango
next
Fett.
one. That's exactly what I was just going to mention.
It took
next
place between It basically was a prequel to Episode 2.
I never played that.
It's actually
really, really good game. It's what Star Wars 1313 could have been. Like that type of you're a bounty hunter, you're going on missions, you're contracted to find someone, and you're traveling from planet to planet, getting clues as to where it was a really interesting, good game. I enjoyed it. There were a few overlooked games from that era that that whole Xbox PS2 era. There were a lot of good games that were overlooked.
But there were so many.
Yeah. When I was making my list, I put Bounty Hunter Omnibus as well, and that's because when I played it, I know it was about Jango Fett, but I was living it out more like Boba. You know what I mean? Like it was just because you had a lot of the things you could do with Boba.
Very similar.
Exactly. And so when I was making this list, since you mentioned that, I wanted to mention this. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I actually liked Star Wars Racer Pod Racer. You know what I mean?
That's not a bad game.
That's a good game.
Neither is Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron is also a good
game. There's also the new Rogue Squadron, which is really, really good.
I didn't even know about that.
I did some walkthroughs. I literally had it day one at midnight.
Yeah.
So, but I had to bring up racers because I think a lot of people ignored it because the pod racer thing, to some people, is a joke. But that
Odie Mandrell all the way.
Okay, the pod racer arcade game is epic.
Where you actually sit in the pod.
That was so cool.
They had that at Palladium, didn't they?
They still have it right now at Rec Room.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Go to Rec Room again. I haven't been there in a while. Anybody else got anything they want to mention?
Well, John, you mentioned Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. I did have them arm mentions, and then the only one I have is Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah. Like, can I just the concept? I know there's Battlefront, okay, but the way that Jedi Knights did it was so much better. It made you feel so powerful when you could just grab someone from across the room and pull them to you, and then like pull your lightsaber and do like a backflip and kill them. And like the little duels where you lock onto each other with, I think it was like F, and then I played it on PC.
Yeah.
I think it was only on PC. Was it actually?
No, it was on console, but the multiplayer you can only play with 2 people, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't like online.
Yeah, no. The whole Jedi Knight series, like this is a character we didn't mention in your list, Campo, and that's Kyle Katarn, who meant so much to the expanded universe canon at the time, which they completely retconned. I would have loved to see, like, bring him back and do a series on him.
Yeah, you know what? What's the guy's name from that we said Shadows of the Empire?
Oh,
Dash Rendar.
Dash Rendar. You could do a whole series on him.
Yeah.
You could literally remake the video game in a way, like not completely, but like the elements that he goes through into a real life story. Because at one point that was canon.
Yeah, it was.
Shadows of the Empire was canon. So I mean, you could always do that, and I think that would work. He's a cool character. He's new. He's fresh. People. The problem with Star Wars is, and the reason that things like The Mandalorian work, is because they're giving you nostalgia, but through new characters.
Yeah.
Whenever they try to rely on the old characters, like we saw it with Book of Boba Fett, it didn't work as well because it's like you have expectations for these characters, and when they don't live up, you're like,
and then of course, and then the one saving. I mean, even though I do still love Book of Boba Fett, but like they literally had to shoehorn Mandalorian into it just to give it some flavor. And it was like, come on, you know,
Book of Boba Fett was essentially Mandalorian 2.5. Yeah. It basically explained. They just wanted to explain to you how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc and how he got to where he was.
Yeah. But they did lay the groundwork for a potentially good show if it does continue.
Well, yeah. Well, like Fennec Shand and what's his name, the Wookiee that I can't think of his name right now. They were both
Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, they were both great characters that I want to see expanded upon. You know,
Timothy Oliphant. Let's say how good Timothy Oliphant.
He was great. Yeah. They also brought in the like the little like rebels kids.
The little scooter gang.
Yeah, so the main girl from them, I think if this show continues, is going to end up playing a big part because she's one of the main characters of the show. Oh my God, Yellow Jackets.
Yes, that's
and
right.
she's so good.
I've not seen
She's a fantastic actor.
I've been hearing
so amazing in that show, Putty. She's so amazing. And then when you look at Book of Boba Fett, and you're like, holy crap, that's the girl, and she gets no time. I think they're going to realize, shit, we need to give this girl more time just based on that. And I'll find her name here.
Because isn't that the show with
Sophie Thatcher?
Yes. Isn't that the show with Christina Ricci on Showtime?
But she plays the young version of what's her name? The girl from oh my God, from Natural Born Killers.
Juliette Lewis.
So she plays the young version of Juliette Lewis.
Yes, and the young version.
So because the show flips back and forth between how they got where they are.
Eras,
and
I gotta watch this show. I gotta find a way to watch it.
It's actually amazing.
What's it on Prime?
It's on HBO.
HBO, okay.
Is it? No, it's not on HBO. It's Showtime.
Yeah, well, for us, HBO Showtime's all one thing.
Oh, you're lucky because I have to get it separate. I have to get a Showtime separate in order for me to watch it.
For us,
just watch it legally.
Very legally.
Cinema HD. F5.
What? No, but I think
Yeah.
going back to what we were saying, this is an issue that I have, and I, like we didn't really get to touch on this, so I'm not going to harp on it because Caps is not here to go back at me. But with whatever the movie's called, the second one from the sequels,
the Last Jedi.
Last Jedi. No, that's the last movie. Oh, that's Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi. Okay, Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Yeah. We're losing it here.
Mm-hmm.
Last Jedi is they had the issue of where they tried to combine characters with new characters, and so it tried to go full Mandalorian on you and be like, no, I'm just going to do this my way and you're going to learn to like it this way. But the problem was you tried to do it with characters that we know, and that's why it didn't work.
It's because they tried to shoehorn.
Yeah, he should have had his own movies. They did. They shoehorned too much.
Yeah. Well, even Mark Hamill said himself, and you could see it in the way that that movie's made, is Mark Hamill even said himself, he would not. Mark Hamill, even if he went against the Jedi. As far as Luke Skywalker, he wouldn't have done some of the things he did there, even if he went against the Jedi, because he would still show respect to it, even though he may not believe it. And that's the problem, is you could tell he didn't show respect.
He said it correctly, and I agree with you on that. Mark Hamill said, from his perspective personally, he liked everything Rian Johnson did. But from Luke Skywalker's perspective, it doesn't make sense.
Even to the point of killing off Luke Skywalker. Yeah.
But he said for the character of Luke, nothing that happened makes sense. Like you said, he wouldn't do any of those things. But he liked that he took liberties with the characters. And I think that's the issue with that movie, is you try to do the new thing with the old thing, and you can't do that. You need your own thing.
Scene, there's a really good scene between the Force Ghost Yoda and Luke, just arguing with you. It's a really, really good scene. Lost your way. Expect. Like he's telling him, like, what's wrong with you? Like, basically, it's like a parent scolding a child who's like already old at that point.
But it's like we argued about the first movie and the third movie, understanding Star Wars in the sense that the characters, the adventure, the fun, that's what you're here for. And the second movie has none of that except that Yoda scene with Luke.
Yeah. But that's what I'm trying to say. The thing is, that's where that right there, that's an understanding of he lost his way when he would just rejected it. But then at the same time, like the lightsaber scene when he threw it behind him, I'm like, dude, you could have just been like, no, and dropped on the ground. Throwing it like that just felt like you were basically.
It felt like Luke wouldn't do that. That's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful, exactly. Like I understand him not going in against Jedi, and he would have turned his back on the Jedi, but he still, because again, how is this somebody who literally has the books of the Jedi in a temple?
But see, that's the thing too, what I liked about the film. They threw in all that old lore with the Jedi knowledge and the Jedi books and that was so good with all
but
that.
Take this in. Doesn't the books burn?
No, and he saves them. He saves them. He saves the books.
But Yoda tells him that you are the books or something, right? Doesn't it something on those lines?
Yeah.
You have the knowledge in you.
Yeah, you have the knowledge in you to pass it on to everybody. Then you just killed yourself like an idiot, and now who's going to pass on the knowledge? You stupid idiot. But we digress from where we were going with this.
But Last Jedi, not as bad as a movie as everybody says it is.
I think a few of the games though are deserving of a show.
Yeah.
Because now you could take things people love, things that were canon, and you can make it to give the fans what they want, but make it how you want it to fit.
Series.
Yes.
Think about how good an X-Wing TIE Fighter series would be. And just like Rebel pilots and Imperial pilots. That's just duking it out of space.
That's so good. And Disney Star Wars can adjust what they want to make it fit now.
To the point where Patty Jenkins is doing a Rogue Squadron film. Yeah. If that's still a thing.
Here's another one. I know you guys talked about Shadows of the Empire and all those, but me and you, JD, had talked about the storyline for this. I bring up Sports Unleashed because it had a solid story with the first thing, and they could redesign it where he could still be an apprentice to Darth Vader. Don't call him Starkiller. We already have it, or even Kylo Ren heard about him being an apprentice, and that's why he called it Starkiller Base. There's so many things you could use, but to see another side of and again, this would be a catalyst for Kylo Ren too, because maybe they could say later on, oh well, that's why he's jealous because Vader took on another apprentice prior to that. You know what I mean? And the ways of him already going straight dark side. Yeah, that it would give a catalyst for Kylo Ren. Like there's so many good stories in these video games that they can twitch or clean up and make into a new story.
Like the ideas, the basis are there. Like you can do a whole TV series based on the Jedi Knight. Jedi Academy, Dark Forces. Like, there's so many things you can do with that. There's so many opportunities.
I think so. This is something I've always thought about. You know how there's always only one Sith Lord and his apprentice. Okay. What if you apply the logic of not necessarily multiverse, but that this universe is bigger than people think it is? And there's other Sith Lords with apprentices that exist, but they're just in such far reaches of the universe from where they are that they don't know about it.
And but there are there in Star Wars, there's the unknown regions.
Exactly.
How do you know there's not?
So wouldn't it be a great show?
They don't call themselves Sith, but the Dark Force users.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be a great show if you had a bunch of Sith Lords duking it out to be like the ultimate Sith
for
Lord?
Supremacy?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are actually bringing up something I've always thought about. You know how there's always that common thing where you got to have the good and the bad. It's the balance between the Force having the dark and evil. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I've always thought about, and it always worked in original Star Wars movies, and they could go on to either make a story or even go back to show how the balance works, and they just didn't realize it. That you have to, for every 2 Sith, you have to have every 2 Jedi. So even, for example, if you have a whole Jedi Council, you're going to have a whole Sith, even if
that's what I mean. Your logic is exactly right.
Yeah, and then that way you would actually have.
But that's what Darth Vader had with the Inquisitors. They weren't exactly his apprentices, but they were Dark Force users and Dark Jedi.
Yeah,
and not Sith, but
this is another thing too. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this. For all of the like deep reaches of space and like light speed, and we never seem to leave. Not just, I won't even say universe. We always seem to be in the same solar system.
I know.
Did you ever notice that?
It's always the same 12 or 13 planets.
Yes, it's almost like we're not even leaving the solar system, let alone the universe. There's probably so much to explore in Star Wars that there could be Jedi somewhere else that they don't know about.
Which is also breaking the whole first tagline you see in Star Wars a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Why aren't we
expanded to a
galaxies?
Universe?
Yeah,
far away.
I mean,
well, because we wasted so much time, and this is a thing that I think hurt the franchise, especially when we got to the sequels, is that we spent so much time in not just in one universe, one solar system, but with one family. Like, imagine if you watch Game of Thrones and the whole time it was only about one family the whole time.
It was just about the Targaryens.
And you'd be like, what the hell am I watching?
Well, that's because here's the thing. And I know I've noticed this, realized it myself, because I've watched videos, I've heard people, there's always the Star Wars purists. And see, the thing is, I'm going to say this right now. When you're a Star Wars fan, you're a Star Wars fan. These people that say, I denounce the prequels, I denounce the new movies because they're not my Star Wars. And I'm like, here's the thing. When you're a Star Wars fan, you're a Star Wars fan. You go into lore, you go into the books, you show the love and give it a chance in all that way. Star Wars, even nowadays, is literally, we're literally doing a show right now for a holiday that no other franchise in the world has a day that people celebrate and everything else. And for you to be, it has to be Skywalker. Please take the horse visors off your head and understand there's a bigger universe out there for us fans that we have known about, and stop making it one linear thing that just because we had that in the beginning doesn't mean we have to have nostalgia.
That's such a
that's
fair
very true.
statement.
That's a good point. And Campo, you were talking about, like, if you go, and I'm sure Putty knows about this, if you go back to the original expanded universe, there was a whole series of books with the Yuuzhan Vong War. These guys were impervious to the Force, so the Force wouldn't work on these guys. Can you imagine doing the series where the Force is useless at this point, and you have to find other ways to defeat this enemy?
When you take on storylines like this, you can do free-willed however you want, because it doesn't affect what's happening now, because it's already happened in the past. You know what I mean? So you can't hurt the world that we're building now. So it gives them free reign to do whatever they want in those shows. That's
Again,
what I like.
I'm going to repeat the same thing. The reason that George Lucas put in the beginning a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, so everything that we know in our world does not exist. When you say that, you can also imply that to anything else in the Star Wars universe, which means you don't have to be tied down to the rules.
It heavily implied fantasy on this science fiction world, which allows for more things to happen, where Star Trek is kind of held back sometimes by the fact that it's pure sci-fi and
it's going based on our laws.
But not only that, it's in our universe too. It's in our realm of possibility.
But that also is to its own benefit, because it also makes it more relatable. But at the same time, I do get it, and I think a lot of people don't realize that the reason he that says it at the beginning is so that he opened up the world to be more, that he could do whatever he wanted. He wasn't held back by rules.
But here's my thing. I also want to say this. There are fans out there that are so like, well, there's set rules that they have to live by. And even though they're not in the rules of our world, they set those rules. And I'm like, yeah, but you're also setting rules about, oh, it's the Skywalker family. Shut up. We have Obi-Wan that is not related to them. We have Yoda that's not related to them. Just because the Skywalker family is such a huge deal about it doesn't mean we have to focus on it.
No,
when everyone
that's what makes a show like The Mandalorian.
I'm so excited for Obi-Wan. Like, you have no idea.
I know.
Like, get out of town.
But that's my whole point. Prime example is Rey. I was so excited. I was hoping I was right that Rey was either not related to anybody or would at least be related to Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan deserves to maybe have some lineage. But then they cut off and gave it to Palpatine. Screw you guys.
It would have made so much more sense if she were Obi-Wan's granddaughter from a marriage or an illegitimate child that he had with Duchess Ren.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. Do you know? Oh, yeah. Okay. So JD, you just hit on the point. When we were talking about the lore and everything, the reason I felt like it was Obi-Wan was because of that relationship that Obi-Wan had. Mm-hmm. And here's the other reason why. When they were doing interviews with actors, Finn said they had to drop his accent, but Rey didn't. That made me think, oh, that's a hint. If Finn had to drop his English accent, they're telling us that Rey keeps her English accent. That means she's Obi-Wan. Palpatine doesn't have an English accent.
No.
What are you doing? I know that was shoehorned in the last movie, but I'm just
saying. What? Okay, but there's a lot of things like that. But you know what? In Force Awakens, Rey is really good.
She is.
In the next two movies,
and Daisy Ridley's a good actor.
Yes. I did not care for the character at all in the next two movies.
I agree.
I was all Poe Dameron for the rest of that series.
Yes.
That actor alone, like I love everything he's
Oscar
been in
Isaac,
so far. Yeah, Oscar Isaac is amazing. And again, all I know is I'm frustrated because I love my universe, but I hate that I know Star Wars fans that are not willing to be open-minded, and it's a majority thing because there's the ones
there's an episode in the Clone Wars. Okay. Clone Wars, Obi-Wan says to Duchess Satine, all you had to do was ask me to leave the order and I would. And that could have set the sense.
It makes so much sense. Yeah. Listen, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff here, but Putty, you made a good point, but I'm going to use that point against you where me and JD did. Like I said, we're going to get more into this discussion when I do my video eventually, but that was the problem with The Last Jedi, is that it wasn't a Star Wars movie and people just weren't willing to pay attention after because of that.
Yeah.
And it's a well-made movie. It's just not Star Wars.
Remember when I did my review, I still enjoyed the movie. It's just though it was the simple things, like I said, when he threw the lightsaber, that bothered me. I was so excited when I saw Yoda. But the thing is I
expected to hate it because everyone I know that was a Star Wars fan was like, it sucked. And I watched and I was like,
I was in the middle ground. I was like, there's some things I agree with Caps, but see, Caps.
Yeah, I'm in the middle ground too. It's not like I gave it a 10 out of 10. I gave it like a 7.7. Like, but it was an entertaining movie, and it got a lot. It did a lot of things really well, like saying, "Screw you, I'm going to do whatever I want." And I really got that.
It's like you said, it's the B storyline, the one with Finn and Rose. That kind of killed the movie.
It ruined the rest of the franchise.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. I'm going to show an example of where it worked and didn't work. Here's the thing. I know why they did that, because in the Star Wars world, it's always been one of those things where it's like the dark side, the light side, but there's never been like the rich and poor side. It's always been felt like more of a poor side, so they wanted to show the rich side, but the problem was is it feels too shoehorned in, where now again we're going to another show,
those horse thingies.
But here's the thing. But then if you look at another series that we actually but if you look at another series we actually did a high praise to on our tier list, I'm not going to say where, but Mandalorian did the rich and poor thing. Remember, it actually showed some rich, and it did it in a way that was proper. Sanctuary had a very rich vibe to it, but it didn't feel shoehorned, and it felt like it was molded with the universe. Exactly. And that's where I think they didn't understand that. And the people, it's exactly like you said, they see one thing and get freak out. So go ahead. Do you have a question?
Okay, so I'm going to say exactly just now. This has nothing to do with our list at all now where we are, but I'm going to just say
Star Wars Day. Anything Star Wars goes.
There's three things that you could have done that barely change the movie The Last Jedi and would fix it. And you guys tell me if I'm right. Number one, you just completely erase anything where Luke is doing weird shit. Okay.
I agree.
You keep him.
Where he's grabbing the cow with the blue milk thing.
Anything weird that he does that feels out of place, you just take it out of the movie. Okay.
I want to keep the Yoda thing. I do want to keep the Yoda.
Yeah,
thing.
no, but
awesome.
I'm just saying anything weird that he does. Okay, so throwing the lightsaber, whatever you feel is disrespectful that Luke does, you just erase that from the movie. Okay. Cool. Number 2, you don't let Luke die. I understand what happened because they didn't know that Carrie Fisher was going to die, and I'm sure she was going to become the main character. What they should have done was keep Luke, kill off Leia early in the next movie, like kind of where it went, but don't extend it, and then let Luke die at the end of that movie after Leia dies. Okay.
Can I extend on that real quick? I'll let you. Okay. Let me just and also when he does the whole battle and they made him die at the end, just don't make him die. Just make him reappear there, and it's like, dude,
yes,
that's
strong.
What
I'm saying. He doesn't die at the end of this movie. In the next movie, she goes through the training with Leia because Luke refuses to train her. Leia dies, and Luke comes back. Instead of being a Force ghost, he actually comes back, and he helps them fight, and he dies at the end, saving Rey or something, okay?
Yep.
And then, but that's in the next movie, so we're not talking about that. And then you let Finn die in that scene where that whole thing is happening.
The sand thing.
I think if you completely erase even my opinion of the Luke thing that I said, and even Luke dying, and you just let Finn die, I think everyone feels different about that movie.
It would have been more impactful.
If Finn was a martyr who died in that scene,
he could be the catalyst for the new.
It would have changed everything because now Rey has motivation. Rey's pissed because you fucking killed Finn. He died for this.
Which in some ways she really cared.
Dameron now has more because you just killed his best friend. Like
yes, exactly. Do you see what I mean?
And what's her name? What's her name? Also starts falling in love with him in that movie. And that what's her name just started falling in love with him in the movie, and that right there would have been the catalyst for her. Yeah, Rose.
And that could have expanded on her character because that poor girl got shit on so bad.
Her character gets a real arc.
Yeah.
Instead, you would have shoehorned black lady on random planet to make sure that it's a black guy and a black girl. Like I was like, what? I know everybody thought that. Like, are you being serious right now?
Yeah. It felt like it. Yeah, it felt.
You literally invented this girl just to be his love interest.
And then of course it felt like, and then
she what?
She was Asian. The Rose was Asian.
Not Rose, the girl in the next movie.
Oh yeah,
who was also
the one that
she was
apparently might even be Lando's daughter. The way they were
and now then they shoehorned that. Like, get out of here. That's things. Is all you
in all honesty, I think that's Kathleen Kennedy's fingerprints on it.
Because here's the thing. Again, I'm speaking about it again. She wants to keep the whole lineage thing, which is really funny because she wants to keep this family lineage of all these characters connected to other older characters. But then the one character we all care about and we're hoping was actually related to anybody is the one you don't give relation to.
Putty just said what everyone was thinking.
But you know what? At the end of the movie, why take on? Just own it. Like, I'm Palpatine. I'm not my grandfather. Just own it.
Yeah, he's a powerful AF dude. Why wouldn't you want to be a Palpatine? Sure, you don't want to be evil, but
again,
I'm a Palpatine.
And that was
but I mean, if you admit to yourself that you're a Palpatine and you go across doing good for the universe, it can mean so much.
Listen,
you know what?
This is how the movie ended. This is how the movie ended. Hold on. Let me shut up. Let me talk.
I will say first. Shut
your mouth.
All right, go ahead.
This is how the movie should have ended. Abraham Lincoln, a crocodile, Carl Weathers in the sky, just nodding, and then play Kansas.
No, that's Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner.
All right, whatever.
That's it.
Tuesday is gone.
If based on the last, based on episode 9, if the rules applied, then I'm saying it right now. I am a Campo. Just say it. I am a Campo. I am no longer a Roberts. My point to the thing is, you can't just say you're a Skywalker. You're not a fucking Skywalker. Like,
you're a Palpatine. Oh,
you don't get to look at a bunch of Force ghosts nodding at you and just be, yeah, Skywalker.
Well, guess what? Apparently now, John, me and you are now related because I say so now. We're brothers.
I'm changing my last name to Musk, and you owe me half of your money. So,
you bought
the funny thing Twitter is, me and Campo are related.
Well, that's my whole point. I'm just trying to get into the lineage. I'm trying to get to your guys' lineage over there. So I'm just going to go ahead and, join you guys because some lady around the corner.
Hey, remember Star Wars video games?
May the Force be with you, ladies and gentlemen.
I got nothing else.
Empire at War. Great RTS game.
We forgot about that. That was one of Putty's on his list.
Empire at War. I just had to throw that
yeah.
out there before we end it.
Wait, did that video come out yet before I just spoiled it for everybody?
No, that's coming out soon. That hasn't come out yet. But yes, it'll be out soon, that one. But yeah,
That's gonna be a
Empire at
crazy
War.
order.
Yeah. It's we release them when we feel like them. That's
Hey, how it happens. All I know is I'm a Campo. I'm redesigning the story of my world, and I'm no longer a Roberts. So I'm no longer AKA Palpatine. You guys know the joke. Anyway, I'm gone. I'm done. Hi,
I'm a donut.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, thanks again for joining us, everyone. Live long and prosper. And
get out of here,
also goes to prove that you can be a Star Wars and a Star Trek fan. You can't have one or the other.
We shun those Trekkies. You came for the
guess
phaser.
what? You can like DC and Marvel.
Okay, you got me on that
Let's
one. You got me on that
show
one.
the love for everybody.
You got me on that one.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
And thanks again for joining us.
Tell him, Steve Dave.